Buongiorno. Today we're going to talk about ci e ne. And what are these things, first of all? What are these strange little words? They are not pronouns. And they may look a little bit intimidating when you look at the grammatical explanations and how they're used, but they really are not. You shouldn't be intimidated by them. They are used pretty much like pronouns, even though technically they're not. But they're used in the same way. So, for example, if you're having a conversation with someone and somebody asks you a question, it is not natural to repeat the whole entire question to give your answer. So, for example, if somebody says, "Do you see your parents every weekend?" To answer, you would probably say, "No, I don't see them every weekend." You wouldn't repeat "my parents," you would say "them." This is how we use pronouns, and this is pretty much how we use these two words, ci and ne. So let's see what these things actually replace. Ci replaces a place that I'm talking about in my conversation. For example, vai all'università ogni giorno? Sure, you could answer, sì, vado all'università ogni giorno, but that is so unnatural. You wouldn't repeat all'università, you would replace it with sì, ci vado, ci meaning there, replacing a place that I'm talking about. Another example would be, sei andato dal dentista l'anno scorso? Did you go to the dentist? Now this is, dentista is technically a person, but clearly you're referring to a place that you go to, the dentist's office, and so you could answer, no, non ci sono andato. I didn't go there, meaning to the dentist. Ci also replaces something else. It replaces a phrase introduced by the preposition a. Let's see an example. Credi all'amore a prima vista? Do you believe in love at first sight? This whole phrase introduced by the preposition a can be replaced, and so the answer is a very, very short sì, ci credo. Certo, ci credo. I believe in it. The whole thing. Phrase introduced by the preposition a. Another example would be, sei riuscito a vedere il film ieri sera? Did you manage to see the film last night? This whole phrase introduced by the preposition a can be replaced by ci, and so your answer is no, non ci sono riuscito. Ho avuto troppo da fare. So I didn't manage to do that. I had too much to do. Let's see what ne replaces. Ne replaces a quantity of something that I'm talking about. Look at this question. Quanti asciugamani hai? How many towels do you have? When you answer, you probably say, I have 4 of them. So in Italian, again, you're not going to repeat asciugamani. You will replace asciugamani with ne. Ne ho 5. I have 5 of them. And so this ne can be translated loosely as of them. A certain quantity of whatever I'm talking about. Another example would be, quanti rossetti hai comprato l'anno scorso? How many lipsticks did you buy last year? The person would answer, might answer, ne ho comprati 4, credo. Troppi. Well, definitely, if you're buying 4 lipsticks every year, that's too many. So, ne replaces of lipsticks. I bought 4. Now notice something else that happens here. Because I am using this ne of quantity with the past tense verb, passato prossimo, my verb has to actually reflect that the ne stands for rossetti, and therefore it matches rossetti in number and gender. How do you like that? Ne also replaces a phrase that is introduced by the preposition di. Remember that ci replaces a phrase introduced by a, ne replaces a phrase introduced by di. Let's see an example. Parli spesso di politica con I genitori. So do you often speak about politics or of politics? No, non ne parlo spesso. Notice also another thing, that the placement of ci and ne exactly matches the placement of my pronouns, object pronouns, before the verb. Another example would be, hai bisogno di studiare per l'esame questo fine settimana? This is quite a long phrase introduced by the preposition di. I can replace the whole entire thing with ne, and so my answer is sì, ne ho bisogno. Yes, I need to do all of that you just mentioned. That's what ne replaces. If you have more questions about the use of ci and ne after this presentation, please email me.